Have you ever wondered what happens to child stars after the spotlight fades? They were once familiar faces, representing talent and success from a very young age, loved, sought after, and living in a world many could only imagine. But behind that fame, the journey isn't always easy. As they grow up, some struggle to rediscover themselves amidst pressure and expectations, and some choose to leave the spotlight to live a quiet life. And some stories take completely unexpected turns. In today's video, we'll explore the journeys of 20 child stars who once dominated the scene, from their days under the bright lights to their current lives. The turning points, challenges, and hidden aspects behind their fame will gradually be revealed. Watch until the end, because the more you watch, the more surprised you'll be by the stories behind the glamour. Hayley Mills was more than just a child star. She was a living symbol of a cinematic era where innocence was cherished and valued as a core principle. When Pollyanna debuted, audiences weren't just watching a little girl on screen, they were also feeling the image of faith and hope infused into her. She always exuded a rare authenticity, not a staged perfection, but a natural light emanating from within. Born in London in 1946, Hayley appeared before the camera with a unique demeanor, both instinctive and composed, as if she had belonged to cinema for a long time. Following the success of Tiger Bay, the Walt Disney Company quickly recognized her appeal and made her a familiar face through The Parent Trap, a role that not only left a strong impression, but also became a cherished childhood memory for generations. She was also the last recipient of the Academy Juvenile Award, a great honor that closed a special chapter in film history. But what truly sets Hayley Mills apart isn't her past fame. It's how she refuses to be held back by her past. While many child stars struggle in their own shadow, she chose to move forward, quietly, steadfastly, and with great confidence. From writing her memoir to her return to the screen, her journey serves as a reminder. Growing up isn't about losing your light, but about learning to preserve and transform it in a more profound way. See, Erin Murphy brings a unique nuance to the stories of child stars, not loud or dramatic, but leaving a deep impression in a gentle and lasting way. She entered the entertainment world at a very young age, when the concepts of fame and attention were still very unfamiliar. Born in 1964 in California, Erin quickly became a familiar face to television viewers through her role as Tabitha in Bewitched. Amidst a world full of fantastical elements, her innocence and naturalness made everything feel more relatable. The character of Tabitha was not only endearing, but also brought a warm feeling, like a familiar part of any family, helping viewers believe that magic sometimes exists in simple things. However, when childhood is tied to the spotlight, it also comes with invisible pressures. Yet growing up in the public eye means less space to make mistakes or explore oneself freely. The image audiences remember is often fixed, while the real person behind it is constantly changing and growing. What sets Erin Murphy apart is her later choice. She doesn't deny her past, but neither does she let it define her entire life. Instead of seeking attention or clinging to the spotlight, she proactively stepped away from the stage to pursue a more peaceful life. A decision not driven by a loss of status, but by a clear understanding of what she truly needs. By 2026, at age 61, Erin's story no longer revolves around her childhood fame, but becomes a profound perspective on the right to live life on her own terms. It's the right to step back, to find peace, and to exist without constant external validation. In a world where attention is often seen as the measure of value, Erin Murphy chose a different path, quiet but steadfast. And that very choice is what makes her story memorable in its own unique way. Child stars don't just grow up with age, They mature under the constant scrutiny of the public, and among many different stories, Jerry Mathers represents a rare case, growing up while maintaining balance in the face of fame's pressures. With his role as Beaver in Leave It to Beaver, he became more than just a television character. He became an iconic image of American childhood, authentic, innocent, and matured through simple lessons. Born in Iowa in 1948, Jerry Mathers spent much of his childhood with the show, appearing in 234 episodes, a memorable milestone not only in quantity, but also in significance. And the character of Beaver was not merely entertaining. He helped shape how television told stories about childhood, intimate, gentle, where small situations contained profound messages, conveyed naturally and easily understood. However, when a role becomes too familiar, it can also become an inseparable shadow. Audiences don't just remember Beaver. They want Jerry to maintain that image forever. It's noteworthy that he didn't try to escape the past through extreme measures. Instead, he accepted it as part of his journey, maintaining a calm and steady demeanor in his own unique way. By 2026, at age 77, Jerry Mathers will be remembered not only as a familiar face of classic television, but also as a witness to a special era, where simplicity and sincerity were core elements, and gentle stories could still touch viewers' emotions without ostentation. There are smiles on screen so radiant that people forget to wonder what's going on behind the scenes. And Maureen McCormick is one such example of this contrast. As Marcia Brady in The Brady Bunch, she didn't just embody an ideal character, she almost defined the perfect image in the eyes of an entire generation. With her signature blonde hair, ever-present smile, and seemingly flawless life, that image became so familiar that many believed it was her true self. Born in 1956 in Los Angeles, Maureen didn't just appear on a television show. She became part of popular culture, where the image of Marcia Brady has been preserved for decades. However, perfection always comes with a paradox. It needs to be maintained, even when the spotlight is off. Behind those familiar smiles, her life gradually became more complicated. The pressure to maintain the public image, the feeling of not being seen for who she truly is, and personal struggles created a challenging journey, a silent battle between fame and identity. At a certain point, Maureen McCormick chose to confront and share her story. Her memoir, Here's the Story: Surviving Marcia Brady and Finding My True Voice, is not just a narrative, but a turning point that helped her break free from the image she had been associated with for so long. As the book gained widespread attention, the public gradually understood that behind the perfect girl was a person who had experienced hurt and mistakes, but was also strong enough to overcome them. By 2026, at age 69, Maureen's legacy no longer lies in her former perfect image, but in the authenticity she chose to portray. And looking back at that smile from years ago, one not only sees the radiance, but also recognizes the arduous journey behind preserving that light for so many years. There are faces that appear on screen without needing many words to leave a lasting impression. And Mark Lester is one such case. In Oliver, amidst the vibrant music and dazzling set design, the young boy stood out in his own unique way, gentle, fragile, yet full of emotion. Born in 1958 in Oxford, Mark Lester quickly became an icon of British cinema in the late 1960s. What made his performance memorable wasn't the technical display, but the genuine emotion and innocence he conveyed. His performance was so natural that audiences almost forgot they were watching a performance. But like many other child stars, he also faced a crucial choice: to continue pursuing the spotlight or to leave it while things were going so well. Remarkably, Mark Lester chose a different path. While opportunities in the entertainment industry were still wide open, he quietly stepped away from the stage. No fanfare, no clinging to the past, simply a transition to a new life. He studied healthcare, worked with therapies like acupuncture, and built a life completely separate from film. That is perhaps one of the most admirable ways to leave the spotlight, not denying the past, but also not letting it dictate the future. Instead, he proactively chose a different path, quiet but steady. By 2026, at age 67, Mark Lester's story doesn't evoke regret, but rather a sense of lightness. As if the boy from years ago never disappeared. He simply grew up and chose a life where peace is more meaningful than any applause. Born in 1963 in Los Angeles, Tatum O'Neal made a rare mark in film history at the age of 10 with Paper Moon, becoming the youngest person ever to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. It was a brilliant achievement, but also a huge milestone that has been inextricably linked to her name for many years to come. On screen, she didn't simply rely on innocence, but impressed with her intelligence, versatility, and strong personality that far exceeded her age. However, with success coming so early, every subsequent step seemed to be constantly compared to that peak. Her life in the years that followed became a multifaceted journey, where her career, personal life, and fame were constantly intertwined. Growing up under public scrutiny meant that every small change was examined, and breaking free from the image she had been celebrated since childhood became a formidable challenge. By 2026, at age 62, Tatum O'Neal's story will be viewed not only through the lens of success or hardship. It's the journey of a man carrying the imprint of the past, learning to accept, understand, and gradually find his own identity beyond the glamour that defined him from a young age. Some roles only leave a fleeting impression, and others become unforgettable memories for audiences. Jodie Foster in Taxi Driver is a prime example. Born in 1962 in Los Angeles, Jodie Foster entered the film world at a very young age. But her role as Iris was truly a turning point that elevated her name to a new level. In the film's dark setting, she not only acted, but also conveyed a sense of realism that captivated viewers. Iris is not an easily relatable character. She represents the hidden aspects of life that many people tend to avoid. What's remarkable is that all this depth was portrayed by a very young actress. However, what made Jodie Foster stand out wasn't just her early talent. While many child stars struggled to establish themselves as adults, she steadfastly forged her own path. Not chasing attention, not limited by past images, she carefully chooses her roles, develops her career with clear thinking, and keeps her distance from fleeting glamour. With 2 Academy Awards and a career spanning decades, by 2026, at age 63, Jodie Foster still holds a firm position in the film industry. But what is remarkable is not just her achievements, but how she navigated this transitional period, not getting stuck in her old image, but continuing to develop and reinvent herself over time. If Jodie Foster represents control and depth in acting, Melissa Gilbert brings a different kind of strength, simple, steadfast, and relatable to everyday life. In Little House on the Prairie, she doesn't portray Laura Ingalls as a perfect ideal. Instead, the character is presented with a full range of very human emotions, at times stubborn, at times sensitive, at times hot-tempered. And it is this authenticity that makes her easily relatable to the audience. Laura isn't a distant icon, but rather a girl growing up, learning to face life's challenges. And like that character, Melissa Gilbert continues to grow in real life in her own way. Beyond acting, she has expanded into other fields, such as writing books, participating in theater, and taking on leadership roles in the industry, becoming president of the Screen Actors Guild. Step by step, she transformed from a familiar image on screen into an influential voice in the artistic community. By 2026, at age 61, her journey is not just about overcoming childhood fame, but also about leveraging it as a foundation for growth. Neither avoiding the past nor letting it limit her, she chooses to turn what she has achieved into motivation for the path ahead. And then, there are stories that begin when a child doesn't even understand their own choices. Brooke Shields and Pretty Baby not only starred in a controversial film, but also became a part of film history from a very young age. When fame comes too early, before the ability to make one's own decisions, the question is no longer simply, who will you become? But, do you truly have the right to choose your own path? Born in 1965 in New York, Brooke Shields entered the world of cinema at a very young age, an age when public attention was still largely unimaginable. From an early age, she became the center of a mix of fame and controversy, particularly through projects like The Blue Lagoon and Endless Love. However, what makes her journey remarkable is not just her roles, but the larger question: who truly controlled her image in those early years? Brooke was more than just a famous face. She was shaped early on by public expectations and scrutiny. When fame comes too quickly, it not only brings opportunities, but sometimes also obscures self-determination. Growing up in that environment meant facing constant pressure, with her personal image seemingly constructed more by others than by herself. Therefore, the most important period in her life wasn't reaching the peak of fame, but rather the journey of gradually reclaiming control over herself. From television and stage to writing books and participating in social activism, Brooke Shields has progressively reshaped her image with her own voice. She candidly shares personal experiences, addresses issues such as mental health and self-determination, and contributes to deeper dialogues among the public. In particular, her role as president of the Actors' Equity Association in 2024 holds significant symbolic meaning. From someone who was once heavily influenced by the industry to a representative and defender of the rights of other artists. By 2026, at age 60, Brooke Shields' legacy will no longer revolve solely around fame or past controversies. It becomes more multifaceted and profound, reflecting a personal journey of rediscovering one's voice, asserting oneself, and gradually regaining control of one's own life. Not every performance needs polished perfection. Sometimes, it's naturalness and sincerity that leave the longest-lasting impression on the audience. And Christy McNichol is one of the few faces who can bring that to the screen so convincingly. Born in 1962 in Los Angeles, she didn't make her mark with fleeting glitz and glamour, but with enduring recognition from professionals. Her role in Family earned her 2 Primetime Emmy Awards at a young age. But what sets her apart isn't the awards. It's the genuine feeling in each scene, as if she's not acting but fully living her character. It's this unpretentiousness that blurs the lines between screen and real life. Following her initial success, she continued to demonstrate her versatility through projects like Little Darlings and Only When I Laugh, before transitioning to sitcoms with a fresher, more dynamic style. Regardless of her role, Christy maintained a unique sense of approachability, something not easily maintained in an ever-changing industry. However, the most significant turning point in her life occurred outside the spotlight. As the pressure of attention grew, she chose to step away, not because she lost her ability, but because she understood the value of balance and self-preservation. By 2026, at age 63, Christy McNichol's story isn't a spectacular comeback, but a quiet yet meaningful journey. Because sometimes, success isn't about staying in the spotlight, but about knowing when to step out and leaving behind the most beautiful memories. There are scenes on screen that leave viewers speechless, not because of their elaborate nature, but because of their overwhelmingly genuine emotion. And Ricky Schroeder in The Champ is one such moment. simple, quiet, yet leaving a lasting impression long after the film ends. Born in Brooklyn in 1970, Ricky Schroder entered the world of cinema at a very young age and quickly made a strong impression. He even won a Golden Globe as a child actor, a rare achievement. But what truly made him stand out wasn't the awards, but his ability to naturally connect with viewers' emotions, as if every sadness or joy wasn't acting, but genuinely happening. He later expanded his image with more gentle roles, such as in Silver Spoons, proving that he wasn't confined to a fixed mold. That versatility helped him maintain a presence in the entertainment industry as he grew older, though not always in the spotlight. Ricky Schroder's journey didn't follow a predictable straight line. It had its ups and downs, its indefinable turning points, and its moments of reflection. It wasn't a spectacular success story, but neither was it a journey of decline. Rather, it was a multi-layered tapestry reflecting the complexities of real life. By 2026, at age 55, what remains in his legacy may not be perfection. But looking back at the champ, the emotions the boy once evoked remain intact. And sometimes, just one such genuine moment is enough to be remembered forever. Fame can come very early, but growing up is something no one can avoid. The child stars we just looked back at are not just beautiful memories on screen. They are people who grew up under pressure, expectations, and hidden aspects that not everyone sees. Some maintained their light, some lost their way and found their way back, and some chose to step away from it all to live a different life. But what connects them is not their fame, but how they faced and overcame it. Because ultimately, value doesn't lie in how early you shine, but in who you become when the spotlight fades. And perhaps that's the real story behind all the glamour.